Let's start with something crazy. Ice Cube didn't just complain about Hollywood. He went straight for the fire and started naming names, flipping the whole thing upside down. This wasn't a quiet complaint or a secret message in his songs. Nope. This was loud, clear, and direct enough to make some big Hollywood people uncomfortable. And the wildest part? He wasn't just talking about Diddy. He also brought Oprah into it. You might have heard rumors about strange things happening at those fancy Hollywood parties. Ice Cube says it's way worse than that. He says there's a whole system working behind the scenes with rules, blacklists, and secret spying. You walk into one of those parties, give them your phone, and once you relax, hidden cameras start filming. Not for safety, not for fun, but to control you. If you ever try to go against them, they already have dirt on you ready to ruin your life. But here's where it gets even crazier. Ice Cube says this isn't just about gossip or celebrity drama. It's all about keeping a specific order. There's a group, which Cube calls the gatekeepers, who decide who gets to be successful and who gets ignored. If you follow their rules, you might get your Hollywood dream, but if you don't, they'll make sure your career disappears like it never existed. And Cube? He's been on both sides. He tried playing by their rules once, even tried to get on TV shows like The View, but guess what? They didn't let him on. Why? Because a few of the guests didn't like what he had to say. Cube's a huge rapper, actor, and filmmaker with years of experience, but nope, the door stayed shut. The reason? The host didn't like his opinions. That's when Cube realized it wasn't about opinions, it was about following orders. He wasn't part of the go along to get along club, and because of that, they shut him out. Let's not act like Oprah's name just popped up by accident either. Cube says she kept excluding him over and over again. Not once, not twice, but many times. He was talking about movies he helped create, stories about Black communities, things Oprah should have supported. But no response, just silence. When someone asked Cube why Oprah ignored him, he didn't sugarcoat it. It wasn't personal, it was political. Cube says that in Hollywood, being independent is dangerous. And Cube has always been too loud, too real, and too unfiltered to fit their perfect image. Even though they shut him out, Cube never disappeared. Instead, he used that rejection to fuel his fire. He started the Gatekeepers podcast as a direct challenge to the system that tried to erase him. No networks, no PR teams, just him telling the raw truth. His message? Stop looking for approval from people who never cared about you, but here's where it gets even more interesting. While Cube was doing his thing, a strange pattern started showing up. Other Black artists suddenly went quiet. Monique, Taraji, Jamie Foxx, all of them hit walls they couldn't explain. Movies got canceled, public support disappeared, and they just vanished from the spotlight. And in every case, the reason was the same. They spoke out, stepped out of line, or refused to play the PR game. And slowly, they were all pushed to the side. So the big question is this all just a coincidence? Or is Cube the first person to actually say what's really going on? When Ice Cube started calling out people and revealing Hollywood's hidden power structure, it wasn't just about drama, it was about survival. Because when you go against the system, you're not just risking a missed interview. You're risking your whole career, your reputation, and even your safety. And no one proves this better than what happened to Jamie Foxx. Jamie wasn't some rookie actor trying to make a name for himself. He was a superstar, an Oscar winner, someone who could do it all. But Cube says the moment Jamie stopped hanging out with certain people, especially Diddy, things changed. At first, it was subtle. Meetings canceled, promo work disappeared, movie roles suddenly went to someone else. It wasn't loud, it wasn't messy. When they want to silence someone, they don't make a big scene. They erase you quietly, one canceled deal at a time, until you're just gone. That's what happened to Jamie. One day, he's filming for a Netflix show, and the next day, he's gone. No real explanation, just a vague mention of a medical emergency, and months of silence. But Cube thinks Jamie's medical emergency wasn't medical at all. He thinks it was a plan. Cube says there was a phone call, a call from someone with enough power to change everything. And from then on, Jamie's career took a hit because in Hollywood, power doesn't look like fame or movie roles. Power looks like erasing someone when they become a problem. Let's talk about these parties now. They're not your regular Hollywood parties. These are the high-end events where you have to give up your phone, Cameras are filming, not for fun, but to hold leverage over you. If you get invited, they're testing you, and if you mess up, that footage could haunt you forever. Cube says that's how they keep control. Want a lead role or to be famous? Better stay in line, stay quiet, and never go off script. Because if you do, that footage could come back to ruin everything. And that opportunity you wanted, it might just disappear. Now let's talk about Monique. She won an Oscar, but instead of riding high, she got pushed out. She was blackballed not just by Hollywood, but supposedly by Oprah herself. Monique refused to play the game. She didn't campaign, she didn't do the press rounds. She said no. And saying no in Hollywood can cost you everything. Monique says Oprah took it even further, bringing her abuser on her show without Monique's consent. Imagine that, your deepest pain exposed to the whole world. That's not just bad media, that's control. While all this was going on, Oprah's empire wasn't perfect either. Her school in South Africa faced serious accusations of abuse. But what happened? The stories disappeared, the coverage stopped. Because when you're part of the system, it protects its own. Here's the part people don't want to admit. How much of what we see is controlled by the people behind the curtain. And once you realize it, you can't ignore it. The worst part of Cube's claims isn't about blackballing or the backdoor deals. It's about what happens when you stop being useful to the system. That's when things get dark. When you become a problem, the system doesn't just push you out, they erase you. Cube knows, he's seen it. People rise and fall because they either follow the rules or resist them. And the fall? It's silent. Suddenly, you're not invited to anything. Your name is off the list, the phone stops ringing. And worst of all, no one says your name anymore. Because in Hollywood, fear keeps the silence going. When Cube walked into Diddy's courtroom, it wasn't for fun. He made it clear he was done staying quiet. The man who once kept silent is now speaking up. And people noticed. Because when Cube talks, people listen. Years of being shut out gave him a unique view of how the system works. And now he's sharing it with everyone. And Cube's not alone. More artists are speaking up now, inspired by Cube's courage. If the system is starting to crack, it's because people are starting to see through the illusion. People are realizing that success in Hollywood might not come from talent, but from loyalty and silence. Cube talks about the gatekeepers, not as producers, but as creators of a fake world. They control what gets attention, which stories are told, and who gets protected. And they don't just control Hollywood, they shape culture. What we think, what we believe, and who we trust. Challenge that, and you're not just risking your career, you're risking your voice. That's why Cube's Gatekeepers tour is so important. It's not just about interviews, it's about telling the truth without anyone filtering it. His tour is a rebellion, and people are starting to take notice. But even now, speaking out isn't easy. There are rumors, threats, distractions, and attempts to discredit anyone who dares to speak up. Cube knows what's at stake. He's seen too many people disappear. Some disappear emotionally, others physically. Some just fade away until they're forgotten. Jamie Foxx's situation still haunts Cube's story. A star like Jamie doesn't just vanish without a trace. Cube thinks Jamie's disappearance was more than just personal. It was a warning. A message to others, step out of line, and this could be you. And if you think that sounds paranoid, ask yourself why no one in Hollywood is speaking out about it. Silence is safer. Cube's message isn't just about Hollywood, it's about power. Who gets it, who keeps it, and what happens when you refuse to play along. Cube's not asking for sympathy, he's demanding accountability. With every name he drops and every truth he tells, the system loses its grip. Because when enough people stop pretending and start talking, that's when things start to change. Not all at once, but little by little.